Bala Ch, Chapter 2. So far, we have seen Sage Narada leave the ashrama of Sage Valmiki. Sage Valmiki and Bharadwaja go to the river Tamsa to perform their midday prayers. A cruel hunter kills the male bird, and the female bird utters a huge cry. And moved by the piteous lament, Sage Valmiki says these beautiful words. Ma nishada pratishthān tvam agama shashvata sama yat krauncham maithunadekam avadhi kamamohitam. Sage Valmiki says that, O fowler, since you have killed one of the pair of the crowncha birds that was so very much in love, you are going to get an everlasting reputation. This happens to be the first line of poetry. As we will see in the later verses of the same chapter, it has perfect metrical rules and grammar. And this is the verse from which the entire Valmiki Ramayana has triggered off. We will also see who inspired Sage Valmiki to utter these words. It is actually Mother Saraswati, under the directions of Lord Brahma, who inspired Sage Valmiki to utter these words. We are going to see the confirmation of the statement in this very chapter. We have got to understand that this verse is very significant, because when Brahma inspires a particular person to utter a verse, it cannot have just one meaning. So let's go through the deeper meaning of this verse. So Ma Nishada. Ma means goddess Lakshmi. Nishada is Lord Vishnu, because goddess Lakshmi is residing in the heart of Vishnu. Nishadati asmin iti nishada. The place where goddess Lakshmi resides is called Nishada. Yat. By what act? Krauncham Maithunad. That means that the couple of demons, namely Ravana and Mandodari, Kama Mohitam. So disillusioned by Kama or desire, this demon stole Mother Sita. Ekam. So that is that particular Ravana. Avadhi. That means you killed by your action. Shashvata Sama, everlasting, for ages. Pratistham means divine sanctity. Tvam Agama, that means that you get. So the entire meaning is this. O abode of goddess Lakshmi, that is Lord Vishnu, by your act of killing the male demon named Ravana, who in his passion abducted Mother Sita, and thus you eradicated vice from this earth, and for that you get everlasting divine sanctity as Rama for ages to come. Now let's go through the emotion of this particular verse. In the 4th chapter of Bala Ch, Sage Valmiki says that there are multiple rasas or mellows that are embedded in this particular epic. This is the 9th verse of the 4th chapter of Bala Ch. Rase Shringara Karuna Hasya Raudra Bhayanakai Virad Rasir Yuktam Kavyam Etad Agayatam. Various mellows such as romance, pathos, comic, fury, fright, valor, etc. embody the epic as sung by Kusha and Lava. Thus we can understand that there are various mellows in Valmiki Ramayana. And in this verse, as uttered by Sage Valmiki, we can see that most of these rasas are already prevalent. The first, of course, is Shringara. Shringara means romance, it means love, and we see that the crowncha birds were in Maithunat. They were so very much in love with each other. We see Karuna. because Sage Valmiki was moved by compassion. Hasya, or a comedic feeling, does not really come into play directly in this verse. But if you were to look at things from the Nishada's perspective, he was very happy to kill this bird. And he was rejoicing at the fact that his arrow found its mark. The next sentiment is Raudra. And Sage Valmiki's Karuna gave rise to Raudra, or fury. And because of that fury, the Nishada was extremely afraid, Bhayanaka. And we also see that it was very courageous of the sage to utter these words. The Nishada could have very easily tried to kill Sage Valmiki, but of course we know that the spiritual power is extremely potent. We know that that is more powerful than physical power, which the Nishada had, and the spiritual power that Valmiki had far supersedes any other power. But nonetheless, we can see that in this verse, we see various emotions. So just from the emotional standpoint, this particular verse covers most of Valmiki Ramayana, starting with Sringara and Karuna. And these two are the predominant themes of Valmiki Ramayana, and these two are the predominant themes in this particular verse. Therefore, this verse summarizes the emotional feeling of Valmiki Ramayana. It is said that Valmiki Ramayana is Karuna Shoka Rasa Pradhana. It is full of pathos, it is full of sadness. And we see that the Vipralamba Bhava, that means the love through separation, that Mother Sita and Lord Rama underwent throughout Valmiki Ramayana, is a very prevalent theme of this particular verse as well. Because Valmiki utters it when he sees the male bird dead and the female bird is lamenting the separation from its mate. And that same feeling of separation from the beloved is a core theme of Valmiki Ramayana. We see that Mother Sita is kidnapped towards the middle of Aranya-kand. And in Uttarakhand beginning, we see Mother Sita go off to live with Sage Valmiki. And Rama spends nearly 11,000 years ruling the kingdom without Mother Sita. Therefore, the love through separation is a very common theme in Valmiki Ramayana. And this verse also exhibits that sentiment. Now, there is another tattvartham to this particular verse. It is mentioned that the entire Valmiki Ramayana is mentioned in this one verse. All the cantos are explicitly mentioned. So the first one is Ma Nishada. It talks about Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Vishnu. Their marriage in their incarnations as Rama and Sita is depicted in Bala Kanda of Valmiki Ramayana. Next statement is Pratistam Tvam Agama. That means that Rama was supposed to be crowned the king, and yet he repaired into the forest just so that he can protect the word of his father, and thus he obtained great renown. So this takes place in the second canto, or Ayodhya Kand. The third phrase is Shashvata Sama. Rama resided in the Dandakaranya forest and he killed many a demon just so that he can protect his beloved devotees, the sages of Dandakaranya. And this takes place in Aranya-kand. The next phrase is Kraunchayo. That means the atrocious Vali and Tara as a couple. And ekam kama mohitam, the one who was filled with passion. That is, Vali was filled with passion for his younger brother's wife, and therefore Rama killed Vali. And this takes place in Kishkindakand. The fifth phrase is Krauncha Maithunat. That means that the lovely, passionate birds here are Rama and Sita, and the Nishada, that is the villain Ravana, separates Rama and Sita because of Kama Mohitam, because of lust. And when Sita was in Lanka, she was as good as dead because of the tortures that she endured from the hands of the various demonesses. And this is all mentioned in Sundarakand. The sixth phrase is once again Krauncha Maithanad, and this time it refers to Ravana and Mandodari, whom Rama killed, Ekam Avadhi, and this is mentioned in Yuddhakand. And the seventh is Kama Mohitam. That means that by desire or being fascinated or because of some longing, Sita wanted to stay with the sage's wives in Uttarakhand, and to fulfill this wish of hers, Rama sends her to the forest, and this constitutes the Uttarakhand. So this is not a very popular meaning of this verse, but it was given in few translations, and so I have mentioned them. But the main importance, the main significance of this verse lies in the emotional aspect of it. And that is something that we have already covered. So let's go on to verse 16. Tasya evam bruvataha chinta babhuva hridi vikshata shokartena asya shakune kim idam vyahritam maya. Sage Valmiki spoke and paused. A dire misgiving came over his heart, and he said to himself, "Strange this! How came I, of subdued passions and a serene heart, to speak words of such dreadful import in reaction to the grief of this bird?" Verse 17. Chintayan sa mahaprajna chakara matiman matim shishyam cha eva abravit vakyam idam sa muni pungavah. But even as he brooded over it, a light broke upon his mind, and the very wise and learned, the preeminent sage Valmiki spoke the following words to Sage Bharadwaja, his disciple. Verse 18. Padabadha akshara samah tantri laya samanvitaha shokartasya pravritto me shloko bhavatu na anyataha. My heart was now wrung with pity and grief at the miserable fate that overtook the poor bird, when these wild words of doom broke out of my unconscious lips. But, lo! They are arranged in equal lines of even feet, perfect and flawless, admirably adapted to be sung or played. Well, this shall confer undying fame on me, and never shall it prove otherwise. So Valmiki is able to recognize the poetic significance of this shloka. Tantri lasya samanvita means it's a rhythm that is tuned to the accompaniment of stringed instruments. In the fourth chapter of Bala Ch, we will see that Kusha and Lava are quite adept in all musical instruments, but they prefer the stringed instrument. And here Valmiki recognizes the fact that this verse that he has spoken, which, as we have already seen, is the precursor to the entire Valmiki Ramayana, can be set to beautiful music. Verse 19. Shishyahto tasya bruvato muner vakyam anuttamam prati jagraha santushtha tasya tushto abhavat muni. The disciple sage Bharadvaja, delighted by the excellent verse composed by his guru, committed it to memory, which left his spiritual master pleased. So Valmiki himself calls this verse as Anuttamam, or excellent, or one that has no parallel. And it pleases Valmiki when we learn this particular shloka. That is the significance of this verse. That once we know this shloka, Valmiki is pleased. Why? Because it contains the gist of the entire Valmiki Ramayana. So it is important for us to understand the significance of this verse, and we have already gone through various descriptions of the same. Now, in the next section, we will take a look at how Brahma inspires Sage Valmiki to compose the Valmiki Ramayana.